For Wednesday, the 20th of April, I'm Randy Kure. This is What's Up the Sports podcast. We are broadcasting via Facebook Live. If you are downloading today's episode via your favorite podcatcher or video link, thank you so much for the download and for tuning in. Information of this podcast is available on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at What's Up Podcast. So back in September, an announcement was made that the sport of cricket was going to be introduced throughout high schools in the province of Ontario. As a big sports fan of Sri Lankan heritage, this was very exciting news for me to see this sport potentially grow into unforeseen heights, especially here in Canada. Here to chat about what cricket currently looks like in this country and what it could potentially grow into. Is a thrill to be joined by two cricketers with a wealth of playing experience representing club and country, and are currently heavily vested as coaches. Derek Perera is founder and director of the Ontario Cricket Academy in Mississauga. Derek, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Randy.
And as well, Srimantha Wijeyeratne is general manager and head coach of the Niagara Cricket Club. Srimantha, how are you?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having us.
No, my pleasure. Thank you so much. So, guys, there's a lot to cover, and Derek, I'd love to start with you. I mean, from my vantage point, sports other than hockey really didn't get a lot of exposure until maybe the last decade or 15 years ago. I mean, that started to change. Soccer, basketball, and especially cricket seems to be on the cusp of such growth. I mean, Toronto's Breakfast Television did a feature, not only did a feature, but did it at your academy. When did you see the possibility of cricket being introduced to school curriculums throughout Ontario?
Yeah, so back in, we started, I started back in 2003 and in Mississauga. And, at that time when we started, I got a few calls from schools to come in the local area, to come in, through connections, to come in and do some cricket clinics. And sort of the word spread around the school boards, I guess, at that point. And then skip a few years forward, in around 2006-07, I started working closely with CIMA, which is the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants. One of their principals here in Toronto, Ranil Mendes, he really has invested a lot of time, effort, and money into promoting the game in the schools, and created a very more formal approach to spreading the game in the schools. And if you want to fast forward another sort of decade from then, we've reached pretty much all the school boards in Ontario with this program. Cricket is being included in the phys ed curriculum in all grades across the school boards in the province. So yeah, it's a big thing. Schools cricket now, I think, is going to be a great feeder system into club cricket and academies, and help grow the game, move the game forward.
Looks like I was on mute there. I mean, the truth was, Derek, that you and I personally go back over 35 years. And one thing that was so obvious was your passion for this sport. As much as I am interested in how you got introduced to this game, I'm really intrigued on how a child born in Canada, raised in Canada, wasn't so much persuaded, from what I understand, wasn't so much persuaded by North American sports, but this sport that was more so popular halfway across the world.
Yeah, Randy, I just remember going over to your house for the family parties and whatnot,
Sure.
get-togethers, and you wouldn't leave the couch until the Leafs game was off. Am I right, Leafs? Right?
Talk to my wife. I'm still
But
like
yeah.
that, unfortunately.
So, so I mean, while I enjoyed, like, I mean, any school kid in Canada enjoyed the sort of what you call mainstream sports, all that was around at the time. Soccer. I played a bit of soccer, baseball, and yeah, and yeah, my father was an avid, cricket lover. They had a cricket club in Brampton, and I just tagged along. I mean, I just formed a love for the game, and there wasn't many opportunities at that. There was not many opportunities to play at that point. But yeah, my dad really did a lot to get me out and foster my my interest in the sport. And yeah, I loved it, and up till today, it's just a complete passion.
And very quickly, I'm wondering how hard was it as a preteen before that, like as a teenager, like how difficult was it to follow cricket, like the pros, because obviously social media wasn't a thing, and the time zones, I mean, access to television and so on was is so much different than as it is now.
Yeah, I wasn't allowed to miss much school, but my dad would allow us when when there was a game on pay TV. He'd put it on, and we'd be up at 1 a.m. watching a game. And you'd take any opportunity you get. There used to be, go to the flea market and get a VHS tape of a game that was played 2 years ago, and pop it in, and you're all eager to watch it. But I think because of the lack of sort of like what do you call sources for media in cricket at that time, anything you got, you jumped on it. Like I used to get cricketer magazines and just memorize like everything. So maybe that was a good thing.
You're a popular guy there, but yeah,
Is
no,
that me?
it's not me. Srimantha, is that you? Is that your phone?
That's Srimalki's phone.
It's Srimalki's phone. Okay, so Srimantha is actually joining us via his sister's computer there. So your sister is a popular girl there. I was wondering whose phone that is.
It's actually her groom to be or husband to be calling, and I'm declining the call.
And you're declining the call.
Hopefully
Okay.
the wedding will still happen on Saturday.
Yeah, I know. Well, and that's another thing too. That this announcement of schools being introduced, of cricket being introduced to schools, happened in September. Was hoping that we could get together for a podcast, but then Srimantha became a father, so figured that he was going to be busy. So yeah, between you and your sister, you got some very busy schedules. I mean, Srimantha, like over to you, and yeah, I mean, you personally have a really proud history of representing a country. You were a part of the under 19 team for Sri Lanka, and then you moved to Canada in 2008 with the rest of your family. I mean, before you moved, did you think that there was a possibility of you continuing cricket in Canada?
Not really, not at all. I remember your mom had sent a paper cutting of a teenager playing cricket with the full gear, but wearing jeans and a shirt on, playing on the street, and I'm like, oh God, is this where I'm heading? But then we saw the World Cup in 2003, 2007. That's when Canada played, and they beat a couple of teams as well at the World Cup, couple of test playing nations. So, but then I didn't know what to expect until I moved here. Even after I moved here, it really took me about a year or two to figure out, how to go about the club scene in Canada. So, try to get in that path to play for the national side. It wasn't an easy path, but I'm glad I went through that, and it was a good experience. Looking back now, and really enjoyed my time.
And I mean, you've played all over the world, as well as Derek. You recently, Srimantha, retired from the national team. You know, talk about your experience, especially playing for Canada. You know, from when you first started to the end there.
I mean, it's end of the day, it's international cricket. That's like the pinnacle for any cricketer. You know, playing when he's 10 years old, playing in the backyard with his brothers, with his neighbors. End goal is always playing international cricket, be it, you know, for me, it was Sri Lanka when I was 15, 16 years old. Never knew I'd play international cricket for another country, but then playing international cricket alone was, you know, a huge deal, I guess, for me. Like all those hours in the nets, practice, and it was like, yeah, you kind of like the hard work is, you know, paying off now. It's a matter of repaying it back by, you know, putting in good performances and, you know, trying to see how, or, you know, trying to see how good you are in that level. And it's just, again, like exciting, you know, just going to a new country, playing in new conditions, playing against different types of players, and adjusting mainly. I mean, that was the main thing, adjusting to different types of grounds, types of wickets, and even the tournaments just the tournaments that we play, they're just high intense. There's so much on the line. So it was a good experience, a lot of heartbreaks too, as you know, Derek might know, along the line. But yeah, it was a good time for us.
And Derek, I understand, I know that you have an experience representing Canada in overseas as well. Like, you know, you, if I'm not mistaken, played in, say, the late 90s, early 2000s area. Like, how infant were those stages? Like, what were those beginning days as a developing international cricket nation was Canada back then?
Yeah, I mean, it's come a long way, in the sense like infrastructure has grown. There's a much bigger population, more people playing cricket. But I mean, it's the same thing. You know, you strive, you know, to do you know, to be at a certain level. So you're working hard, you know, putting in, you know, all the effort that you can, and you know, dedicating, committing your life to achieving something. So those things are the same. But yeah, I mean, it was a different, uh, completely different thing for us back then, where we didn't have many turf wickets. I think only at Toronto Cricket Club we had a turf wicket, and now if you look, which is what international cricket is played on, meant to be played on, and now if you look, I mean, Srimantha and Niagara, they have a nice wicket there. Apparently, I haven't been there. Brampton's got about 5 or 6 wickets. Mississauga has about 5. Um, and then Toronto, I'm not sure what the status is there, but it's grown a lot, you know. Uh, yeah.
And you know, it's there has been some number of instances where you see, I for one have seen people playing in parking lots, and that it just seems that the desire and the want to have more facilities available, you know, then the want is there. In terms of like a world-class facility, guys, like I don't really mean to put you on the spot, but like, I mean, like in terms of that world-class facility, to say have location A as the headquarters of Canadian cricket, is that something that we could see, a world-class facility in, whether it be Toronto, Vancouver, wherever the case may be in this country?
That would be nice.
Yeah.
We haven't had one so far, but I mean, the because the administration keeps changing every year, so every time it's different ideas, so it's very hard to sort of jump on something and have that specific plan going. I mean, hopefully soon there are talks of, building a Brampton cricket ground, building a Mississauga cricket ground with 5,000, people to watch a game. But then the foundation has to be set. But I mean, hopefully there's one happening soon. I mean, I know in the US, there's a huge operation that's going to develop cricket, and hopefully some of it brushes off in Canada as well. And that'll really, really help the structure in Canada.
So, well, speaking with your community, Srimantha, I mean, you were recently appointed as general manager and head coach of Niagara Cricket Club. What do you see as your main objectives as you try and enhance the sport within the community in Niagara?
I mean, it's sort of like a chance that, you're taking, maybe like what Derek did 15 or 20 years ago almost, right? Don't know what's going to happen. I mean, just wanted to see what kind of interest we'll have. There are a lot of families moving towards Niagara, St. Catharines, Thorold area. So, there is a established cricket club that's happening, but most of the players are from Mississauga, Brampton too. So, just wanted to see what kind of interest we get from families in and around Niagara Falls to see how we can, set up a good program. There is a pretty good cricket ground in Niagara. They are putting lights up, I think middle of the summer as well, so you could play night games as well. Yeah, it's just just to see what kind of interest we can get towards a cricket program in Niagara, because I think I've heard kids from Niagara go all the way to OC. I'm not trying to steal any kid.
Hey, no, but on that topic, I think something great's happening, and we just finalized the dates for a teacher's education program in Niagara.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and that's part of the OSCA, the Ontario Schools Cricket Association initiative that's happening, getting cricket in the curriculum. So I believe we have about 16 schools over 3 days that will be attending these sort of learn to play clinics for the teachers, so that they can take it into the classroom. And this is where this program of schools cricket is so important, that helping people to understand, spreading it at a grassroots level where teachers can become champions at their school in terms of introducing the game to students who maybe never have seen the game, and ignite a interest in the sport. And then, academies and clubs like that can then prosper. And, you can obviously then, take the more, players and bring them on to next level, right?
Yeah.
So I think the key thing here is introducing the sport to different municipalities and school boards. And now that you have the academy set up, it can be, schools can be a feeder system into that. And that's what needs to happen.
Yeah.
I think, not to knock anybody, but, that model should have been implemented a long time ago to foster the sport and, the growth of the sport in Canada.
Well, it's so funny, Derek, because obviously, you take a sport like soccer, which is considered the most popular sport in the world. And really, in my opinion, soccer was really dormant until professional soccer within Major League Soccer, Toronto FC, began in the mid 2000s. And now it's just elevated to the point where, Canada's women's and national programs are so so internationally renowned. And you take this opportunity that cricket is being brought into the curriculum in Ontario, and it's like, what possibilities can happen from here? I guess to take a step back, and with regards to this camp that you are hosting, that is being hosted in Niagara, there, like, are you expecting more coaches from outside of the province to join, or is this is the focus sort of Ontario at this point?
That's for me? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, right now, this is like the first year of this particular program officially under the Ontario Schools Cricket Association banner. The idea is that we want to spread it in Ontario, ensure that we can use this as not a testing grounds, but iron out anything in the way. But yeah, the idea is to take this model and spread it throughout the country eventually. And again, it's a lot of support from people like the good people at SEMA who've been involved with cricket in the last 10, 15 years and really supported it and helped the growth in the schools.
So there, Srimantha's brother-in-law's calling again. Tell him I said hello, by the way. But Derek, obviously this, Derek, I mean, this couldn't have happened. Obviously, coming from as you developed Ontario Cricket Academy. I mean, you're getting close to about 20 years of operation. You love to chat about the tour, but when it comes to the setting up roots in Mississauga with your academy, like how did you develop this vision, like in terms of having a permanent teaching ground for this sport when cricket may not have been on the radar in terms of especially to what it is now?
Yeah, it was huge huge risk, especially 20 years ago if you think about it. But
Sure.
I just finished up university or finishing up university, and the idea was to get into physiotherapy after as a postgrad. Yeah, but it didn't actually go that way. I was playing in England, and one of my buddies called me up and said they opened a cricket center in Mississauga, and asked if I want to coach there. And like, when I returned from England, it beats working in the Canadian Tire warehouse,
Sure.
where else like I was order picking, right?
Okay.
And doing like 30 hours a week and hated every minute of it. But you needed to make some cash, and anyways, I started coaching there. I had about 20 or 30 students, and unfortunately the place closed down in about a year.
Okay.
Huge place, probably wasn't the right time for it. But yeah, parents said, hey, listen, we'll get behind you. And we opened up a spot in Mississauga, and it was history. Basically, Nikhil Datta, who's one of Canada's more accomplished players over the last decade, he was one of the little guys there at the
Okay.
time, and yeah, and we just went from there. Again, it was a huge risk doing it back in the day, but I just think if you're committed to anything and you have that vision, and there's no plan B. I've never really had a plan B. After that, I just immersed myself in it, and that was no looking back type of thing.
And now you're at the point where you're able to take a select group from your academy and then travel overseas. You recently did a tour in Sri Lanka. Really love to learn everything regarding that. I mean, the age range of your group, the level of competition that OCA faced, and well, I guess we could start with that.
Yeah. So this was actually, I think, our 6th or 7th tour to Sri Lanka. So we've been going there. Obviously, my family roots, and then local connections there make everything easier. The country's set up for tourism. Beautiful place. If anybody wants to go to paradise for a little bit, they can go to Sri Lanka. And yeah, so we've gone on tours over the years. I think this time around was one of the better teams that we had. Most of the players have been on tours now to West Indies, to Sri Lanka in the past, and some of them have played in the World Cup recently in the under-19s. So they're a lot more experienced, and by making these tours happen year after year, The players are getting better and better. So yeah, we brought a decent side. We finished 3-4 in which is not a bad record, considering we're coming from like minus 15 to plus 35. Right. So we jumped into a game the very next day. So the guys didn't have much time to acclimatize, but they did well. They surprised a lot of people. We played against some good clubs out there, the Army, Police, and a couple of good academies, and we did well for ourselves, I think.
So,
Sounds like a Canada.
sorry, Srimantha, go ahead.
No, I said sounds like a Canada tour.
Pretty much, eh?
Go from minus 20, minus 30, practicing indoors for about 3 months, and then all of a sudden there's a lot on the line that you're playing for.
It's tough, eh? Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, and I mean those outdoor sports. I mean, hate to bring it back into to soccer, but especially a sport like cricket, like in terms of a climate that Canada is in, obviously the domes that soccer and even American football play under, it doesn't really seem feasible for a sport like cricket because the grounds are what they are in that size. I mean, Derek, that being said, and you mentioned that this was your sixth experience traveling to Sri Lanka, like what is the consensus is in terms of the competition that you're able to bring? Like what did those facing OCA think of their skill level?
I mean, early days, there were some games where we got like absolutely demolished. Again, the guys that, I mean, imagine like, so we're talking about, I remember Nick was a young guy, but you can't build a team on one player. But the rest of the guys didn't really have that experience of going outside of Canada and playing or in different conditions. A lot of them, it was their first time playing on turf. So now we have guys who have been playing on turf wickets, at home in Mississauga for the last 10 years since they were like little kids. So now coming in at 18 and having 10 years of playing good cricket under your belt, they did well. It wasn't. I can say the games that we lost very tight margins. We didn't get blown out, and then the way we lost, I mean, it showed that we had a lot of fight, and teams didn't take us too lightly. I mean, there was a part of the tour where you can see visibly our guys were like physically out of it. The weather was way hot. 6 days in a row playing cricket in 35 degrees. It's tough. So, I had, you have to, understand as well from a coaching point of view that there's only so much you're going to get out of the guys, and your expectations got to be pretty realistic.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And obviously it'd be foolish to think that in the very beginning that a squad from Canada could beat people who could play this sport 24 hours a day, 7 days, like at 365, like but yeah, the possibility of competition increasing, obviously that's it's inevitable. I mean, Srimantha, like with regards to your international experience and so on, I mean, did you sense that Canada was getting more respect from the mature cricket nations, the Englands, the Australias, and so on?
Well, we never got a chance. We didn't play it in Australia, but I mean, we would always have we would always upset like a big team in the tournament. Like we'll start off the tournament really well. Like we beat Ireland in the T20 qualifiers in 2019. We beat UAE when they were cruising to victory in 2018. So like teams never really take us lightly, but then like it just gets tough for us too. Like Derek said, right? Like we're going, most of the tours we had were during the winter season. So we're going from a snowstorm, taking our bags out to, indoor practice to, playing at 35 degrees weather, and then just the 1 day, 2 days of practice in that heat. And then going into games that, you got to win say 3 out of 4 to qualify for a World Cup, which is never easy. And then after that, the backlash that comes after is not easy dealing with as well. But I think with what the players have, we've everyone gives 100%. It's not just the free ride that they go for. Everyone's trying to be better at training as well, even on tour. So with the facilities we have, I think we've done okay. We could have done a little bit better, but it's disappointing that we haven't been able to go towards that next step. We've had maybe I played for 5 years. We played 3 T20 World Cups and a 50-year-old World Cup. It's just disappointing. If you go back to like a soccer equivalent, it's like we don't qualify on a goals difference. Like we'll have the same points,
Sure.
but don't qualify because of the goal difference with the other team.
Yeah, sure. No, I understand completely. And I mean, but with regards to I guess a big picture aspect, to get more interest to cricket beyond those whose maybe their ethnic roots are from cricket powerhouse nations. Like, I mean, how critical would a domestic league be in North America? From a soccer perspective, even a basketball perspective, really, like the NBA really didn't get as popular as it is until the Toronto Raptors came into existence in the mid 90s. I mean, Srimantha, do you think that a domestic league is a possibility even like within this country? Or, I mean, does club cricket kind of have to develop more so in the Indias, England's, Australia's, more so first?
Well, there is a major league that's gonna start in US in 2024. So it's a 16 tournament, and people investing in this tournament is, big people in Google, Facebook. I know Shah Rukh Khan has a team in the tournament. So, there's a lot of money being invested in this tournament in the US. So how they've started off is they've given contracts to, I wouldn't say club cricketers, but cricketers who couldn't make it to the next level in like countries like South Africa, New Zealand, Sri Lanka, India, and they brought them to US. And they live there now. And the Canadian is there as well. So they're getting ready for that. And I guess if something doesn't happen in Canada pretty soon, I think players from Canada will be, looking to get into that system. I mean, playing for international cricket is nice, but then it comes down to, once you settle down, what's that backup that you have, to take care of your family, take care of your, monthly bills or so.
Sure. So to get a sense of what exactly you're talking about, you're saying that this is a tournament format where, say, 16 teams will take part in it.
It's pretty much like the NBA. It's a 16 tournament. They're starting off with 6 teams. Yeah. So like most of the players are coming from overseas, but they're going to be settled in US by the time that starts. So they'll be local by the time the tournament starts, so that the standard in cricket in US will go up by a big way because of the overseas players. But sorry, go ahead.
No. I was wondering. So this 16 tournament will be in City A, and at the conclusion of this tournament, it'll go to another city. Is that?
No, it's going to be around the US. So they're building stadiums in Dallas. There's one stadium in Seattle, one in LA. There's already one in Fort Lauderdale. So it's going to be around US, where people are investing money so that there's a big tournament, because they see that market in US building the market for cricket, and so even the ICC is kind of pumping money so that that will be a big hit going forward.
Sounds like a really exciting opportunity. I think, especially once, because from somebody, and granted, I'm not, I don't follow cricket as obviously as strong as the two of you, as well as those who play cricket. But I, for one, am really, my only exposure is the World Cups that take place, and not so much the IPL and so on. And with this format, as Srimantha had mentioned, I mean, it seems like it's a great opportunity to grow the sport more so in North America. I mean, Derek, I'm really interested to hear your thoughts on what this sport could do for women. And I went to your academy, and there was a girls and women's program being class being taught when I was there. And from a North American sports fans point of view, obviously you see certain commonalities between cricket and baseball. Baseball specifically is not so much familiar for women. I mean, they play softball, which is completely different dynamic. But as cricket is what it is, like in terms of rolling out this sport for women, like where do you see those opportunities are, like in terms of female participation in Canada?
Yeah, I mean, to be quite honest, we can't really say much because it's not something that's actually been actively looked at to well, from a higher up point of view. I think, let me just put it this way: when tournaments need to happen, they will get players together and send them out, play in the regional qualifiers, trying to make to a World Cup. Again, from the grassroots level, it's left to clubs, academies, smaller leagues to put things together. We started a women's league a couple of years ago. It's now grown to 6 teams, and that's, I mean, it's a big number compared to previous years where there's only a couple of teams. Again, not to knock anybody in the cricket boards or anything, but I think the approach has to be different. There has to be sort of a structured grassroots program and build upwards. There is interest, a lot of interest, when we go into the schools, at the youth level, at the academies, and now at the local league level. But where does that transfer into provincial cricket or representative cricket? Yeah, so there's a lot of holes and gaps that need to be fixed before we can really look at bigger bigger things and bigger achievements for women's cricket. They deserve to be playing, and they deserve a lot more than what they're actually getting at the moment. And I think that can be said for players overall in Canada. It's sad, but it's true. We gotta make those hard calls and statements when you need to, and I think it's the truth, right? You can't get away from it.
Well, I mean, the reality is that in terms of high school sports, female participation in sports like field hockey and rugby. My wife played field hockey, in many years ago when she was in high school, and there was such a big level of interest in high schools, and there's no reason to think that cricket can't be one of those sports, especially after years of development within the Ontario curriculum. I mean, so that being said, guys, obviously 25, 30 years ago, from a layperson's point of view, test matches always seem to be a lot more prevalent, I guess, in terms of like limited overs and so on. And from my perspective, it seems that the 20 over matches, 50 over matches are a lot more, I guess, popular, for lack of a better term. I mean, as you're explaining this sport to those who may not be familiar with it. Like, what do you two think the biggest misconceptions are of cricket?
Cucumber sandwiches, tea.
Where did that come from anyway? I mean, like, was that in fact a reality back then?
In England, yeah.
Yeah.
Teas were a big thing. I played a lot of club cricket in England, and honestly, I look forward to the teas. They're incredible. They're incredible.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Was there a flavor? Was there a flavor specifically?
Oh yeah, I mean, like you get it's a crazy spread. I don't even know how we played after.
Yeah, sure thing. Sure
But
thing.
I don't know if you know the first ever international cricket match between two countries was played between Canada and US.
I heard about that.
Yeah, and I think for the first World Cup, so like how we play a qualifier to qualify for the World Cup, the first ever World Cup or the second World Cup, I'm not too sure. The qualifier final was played between Canada and Sri Lanka. So now you see the huge difference where Sri Lanka is at right now and where Canada is, and it's just I mean, we keep blaming the weather, right? But there's always ways around it. If England pretty much has the same kind of the seasons as us, but I guess they found a way around it, and the foundation had to be set like 30-40 years ago, but we're
Sure.
here right now trying to qualify for World Cup every year.
Yeah, but as you had this opportunity, and as cricket is starting to get out there, the word is starting to get out there. What do you think are the more important aspects of the game to, I guess, relay to those who are getting introduced to the sport for the first time? Eric, anybody? Anybody?
Okay. I mean, it's just getting the basics right, and basics, and then have fun with it. Is sometimes coaches may like trying to show the absolute basic, but then forget to let the kids have fun. And then the kids will just play for 2-3 years and just give it up when they can actually tell the parents like, I'm done, I don't want to play this sport anymore, right? It is a sport, you just have to have fun with it, and then if you put in the hard work, you're but you're bound to do well. It's with any sport, I guess.
Yeah, totally agree, Sri. I think the approach, especially at a beginner level or introducing the sport, is let them have fun.
Yeah.
I think making contact with the ball, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Getting them to run around, the whole social part of it, of playing in a team,
Yeah.
whether you're good at sports or not, just to be around friends and have a good time.
Exactly.
And I think so it's a good balance, right? Because we're trying to introduce skills, and cricket's such a technical sport, but I think just getting kids to kind of like it, and like something an alternative to a baseball or even golf or something, like it's not that many kids have tried golf, I don't know, but I'm not sure. But yeah, it's as an alternate sport, just to get them to like it. I think that's a key thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, 20 years from now, guys, like, where do you see this sport in this country?
There's a very, very good chance of Canada qualifying for a T20 World Cup. I think the World Cup is in 2024. So I think ICC has increased the number of teams to 20 for that World Cup, and usually it's between Canada, USA, who would qualify from this region. But USA already qualifies for the World Cup because they're the host of that tournament. But one North and South American country qualifies. So one country between Canada, Bermuda, Brazil, Argentina, and whoever else is there, one team would qualify. So Canada has a really good chance of qualifying for that World Cup. And in 20 years, I mean, at least ODI status. If we can get that, that would be nice, because that would consider cricket as a high performance sport in Canada. That'll increase the funding that the Canadian Cricket Board gets from the government, and that'll certainly help set some players up with the annual contract. So ODI status would be very nice. Test status is a long way away, I would say, very long way, but at least ODI status would be nice.
So, Derek, as I guess if you want to call it the infant stages of really introducing the sport to the rest of the country, Canadian Tire and Jumpstart has recognized the importance of cricket and made contributions towards this sport. I mean, describe the emotion that you had when this initiative was confirmed. I mean, like all of those years of hard work and so on, that must have been a real accomplishment for you.
Yeah, I mean, part of a group of people doing this. As I said, the Ontario Schools Cricket Association, SEMA Canada, in particular, Ranil Mendis, who's been, the driving force for this whole thing, and being, involved in the whole cricket technical aspect. What this has actually meant for me is that growing up and loving cricket and not having an avenue in the schools to kind of, to play, what this has done is sort of like it being in the curriculum means that not even at a competitive level, but it's going to be in every gym class. So kids are going to learn cricket in gym class. And I never had a chance to show my skills in gym class, always playing basketball. I couldn't even dribble. I was like, let's play cricket one day. Let's even the playing field. And I never got a chance to do that. But now kids are going to be able to swing a bat, bowl a ball. It's amazing for the sport. And I think it's like, one of the biggest things for cricket development in Canada. It seems, very basic and that's important, but it's gonna, I'm pretty sure, get a lot of people who have never even heard of the sport interested.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I remember in my high school days being introduced to sports like curling and rugby. And, 30 years ago, you watch the sports highlights and curling was played by, particularly older people. And especially these days, it's played by a lot more younger people. And you have to think that introducing sports like curling and now cricket would only do nothing but really get more people interested to this game. So guys, as we're about to finish up here, I'd be remiss if I didn't get information on your respective associations. Srimantha, what should cricket fans in Niagara region look forward to as you roll out this program?
I mean, it'll definitely be exciting because we're kind of running along with the Niagara T20 as well, that they've started for the first time this year. So it should be exciting. I'm excited myself just to see what kind of numbers we're going to get, what kind of interest we'll have in that area. So yeah, it's just at this point, just to wait and see what kind of, a program we can get going. I'll definitely, be texting Derek in the next couple of weeks just to, get some pointers. But yeah, it should be fun.
In terms of a website or social media, Srimantha, is there anything?
Yeah, I need to. I don't have that off my mind. So let me just get it for you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, while Srimantha's on the search for that, Derek, anybody interested within, I guess, Peel region or the Greater Toronto area in terms of Ontario Cricket Academy, where can they get more info?
Yeah, Facebook, Ontario Cricket Academy, Instagram, Ontario Cricket, and our website, ontariocricket.com. And yeah, just look it up.
Srimantha, any luck there?
Yeah, no, I do. So on Instagram, we have Niagara CC _ Academy. And then you can email nccacademy@niagaracricket.com for any information.
Perfect. Well, guys, as somebody who has been born and raised in this country and really only seen the development of one sport for the first, say, 20 years of being a sports fan, to see sports like basketball, baseball, soccer, tennis grow into internationally renowned sports is one thing, but a sport like cricket is has so much potential. And for somebody obviously like yourselves, a Sri Lankan lineage, it's a sport that hopefully will garner a lot of attention. And obviously with people like the two of yourselves and your various organizations, you guys are really responsible and have a great opportunity. So Derek Perera from the Ontario Cricket Academy, Srimantha Wijeyeratne of the Niagara Cricket Club, thank you so much for joining me, and good luck to the both of you.
Thanks, Randy. Thanks for having us.
So once again, this is What's Up the Sports Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us this at What's Up Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Hope you are doing well and keeping safe, and we will talk to you next time.